ton. Yeah. The area of fruit tree is about 1 million hectare, and we will keep some K fruit tree year in tree from 5 to 19%. Yeah. All the results are very important with us. Yeah, it's considered that rural area account for 63% of the population and 66% of households, and keep 68% of working people. And agriculture accounts for 20.36% of GDP of my country. So that's why the quality and year of high-tech agriculture contribute to 20% of Vietnamese agriculture. And also, and the row is 2020, 21st. Yeah, there's a total. There's a total of agricultural enterprise is 14,400 enterprise belong to the agriculture. The last corporation and enterprise continue promote investment in high-tech agriculture is NAFOOD, Chumriu, Dabaco Vietnam, Masan, and Lavifood, etc. And also we have many high-tech agriculture corporation in there. Yeah, in this picture of Vinamilk Farm and Chumriu Farm, the two famous and big enterprise in Vietnam that apply the high-tech in there. We also have nearly 2,000 high-tech agriculture corporation, and 12 high-tech agriculture regions are recognized by the locality, and 50 on enterprise apply high technology, and in which there are 23 enterprise are recognized by Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. In fact, high-tech agriculture zone in Vietnam, Foreigner and Ho Chi Minh City is give us many benefits. Yeah. Example, high-tech agricultural zone in Ho Chi Minh City is the first high-tech agriculture zone in Vietnam that that have invented in 2004. Yeah. The following of high-tech agriculture zone were established, such as Hậu Giang, Phú Yên, Thái Nguyên, Quảng Ninh, Thanh Hóa, Khánh Hòa, Lâm Đồng, Bình Dương, Phú Thọ, and Hà Nội. Yeah. Is a high-tech agriculture zone in Vietnam. The current status of agriculture in Vietnam. There are many things to talk about that. But today, I would like to show you about the current status that the agricultural section in Vietnam have to to work. Although the productivity and quality of Vietnam's agricultural products are constantly increasing over the years, in a country where have 7% of labor work in agriculture, with an average income of 3.5 million Việt Nam đồng per person per month. Yeah, is equivalent to $152 per person per month. So that income is low. In the spirit of looking directly at the truth, Vietnam must admit that our country agriculture is still basically a gross production base in terms of product, low in class consuming a lot of resources. Globalization in agriculture is still modest. Competitive planet with the region and the world is not high. Even in some fields, it is quite far behind the world. The costs of this situation are small and fragmented production, low labor productivity, and high pricing of agricultural products, and lack of linkage within the agricultural industry and between the agriculture section and other economic section, other such as industry and service, yeah, etc. So the efficiency of applied technology in agriculture is required. We learned from Nathan in 2007. Potato production get profit increased by 21% and social profit increased by 26%. So they also save investment in fertilizer, especially save from 15 to 40% of nitrogen fertilizer and other cost of plant. Yeah. Or in Israel, in 1995, one Israel farmer can feed 15 people, and in 2014, one Israel farmer can feed 100 people. And in Vietnam, now, one people can only feed from 2 to 2.5 people. Yeah. That is the cost why we have to learn about it. And the need develop high-tech agriculture in Vietnam. The first, Vietnam's agriculture is mainly development by quantity, relying on resources and labor. The cost of material is too high. Yeah. Example, 11 million tons of fertilizer, and from 600 to 100 million USD of pesticide for supply for agriculture, using too much water and labor. So the efficiency of the year is low. Resources are limited. The second, the resources are limited, and every agricultural land per capita is only 8.7% of the world average. The third, labor in agriculture account for too high a proportion and low productivity. Currently, in Vietnam, an agricultural worker can only feed 2.5 people, while in developed country, an agricultural worker can feed 100 to 150 people. The fourth, production of divided not in a chain. So there is no quality control and no traceability. And the five, infrastructure traffic in concentrated production area is poor. Detailed example, the Mekong Delta, the Central Highland. The irrigation system is mainly designed for rice irrigation, but cannot support the production of other commodities. E-commerce is very underdeveloped. In addition, the production of cost of many agricultural products in Vietnam is higher than that of some Southeast Asian countries and much higher than that of developed countries. Due to the degree of mechanization, automation, and application of technology, the digital production in our country is still low. And the sixth, climate change, example, drought, salinity, acid soil, etc. Oh, good. Happening with it. And this seven, the devaluation season. Yeah. Devaluation season is Vietnamese is được giá mất mùa. Vấn đề em có thể nói với thầy Gian cái nghĩa của cái này là devaluation season, được giá thì mất mùa, một cái tình trạng nông nghiệp ở Việt Nam.
Yeah. Vâng ạ, có vâng em nhắn riêng cho bà. Vâng ạ, mời cô có cách tiếp tục đi ạ.
Yeah. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính, yes, speaking at the closing ceremony of 2020 on Vietnamese agricultural industry. When he looking directed directly at the economic picture of Vietnam to 2020 on, he emphasized the whole agricultural section must focus on drastic structure forward, increasing economic value and sustainable development in association with transforming a growth model and building new rural area toward building ecological agriculture, modern rural area, and a civilized farmer. Agriculture must transform more strongly and becoming a country with modern agriculture. sustainable development, laws, commodity production, high productivity, quality, efficiency, and competitiveness. Yeah. And that is the end of my present. I hope, yeah, Dr. Ezran can understand a little the finger Vietnamese agriculture. And today in this seminar, with the participation and sharing of information of experts, yeah, I believe everyone have an objective view of the current state of Vietnam's agricultural industry. Yeah, thank you for the attention.
Thank you for sharing knowledge and experience from Dr. Vũ Thị Quyền. Now, session 2, we welcome to honor speaker Dr. Iopolika. He comes from the Agriculture Education Center. Now he will share his experience about the modern in agricultural business in Israel. Welcome to Dr. Iopolika.
Thank you. On the screen right now, I see, I think Dr. Vu is sharing her screen. So she has to unshare. Dr. Quinn, how are you? Yeah, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me for this seminar. I understand that everybody understands English. I will talk slowly. Usually I talk a little bit faster. Dr. Quinn, thank you very much for all this detail. Some of the information I did not know, and I will note it. I think it's important when the students come to Israel that all the teachers here have this background, so I will make sure that everybody gets this background. It was very, very important for me to see this. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I would like to, let me do share screen. Okay, does everybody see my screen right now?
Yeah, very clearly.
Okay, so I want to take a continuation from the last slide that you had from your Prime Minister that talks about models, that talks about how to move from an agricultural situation where you're low-tech to high-tech. There are things that have to be very, very clear. In order for high-tech to work, you need these, what I call 5 bubbles or 5 forces to be in place. If even one of them is not in place, it will not be successful. This is from my experience in Africa, of course in Israel, but in other countries. So, of course, first of all, there is the technology. The technology has to fit the people that are going to use it. Too many times I've seen technologies that don't work because the people didn't know how to drive a tractor, or there wasn't any petrol station with 100 kilometers. So the technology must fit the people that are going to do it. You can teach people technology, but at the end of the day, it must fit their understanding, their intellectual understanding, their technical understanding. So that is critical. The next thing, of course, is the science. I have seen it many, many times where you take a low-tech farm and you try to make it high-tech by putting drip irrigation. That's not a big problem. Fertilizing is a big problem. If you're going to fertilize in an irrigation system, the level of knowledge that is needed is completely different than the level of knowledge of putting fertilizer, let's say a manure or something like this in the field. So the science has to fit the technology, which has to fit the people. The next is government policies. And I saw what the Prime Minister, the last slide that you said, for me, it was very, very interesting. But we have to be very careful. There is a difference between sometimes what government says and what government does. It has to be very clear that we want what we do to fit the policies that exist. Or if somebody says, look, if you do this and this, we will support, make sure the support system exists. I have seen many times where initiatives of local farmers or investors coming from other countries do something, and then there's a mismatch. They were promised they could take so and so much water from a river, and then they couldn't. So government policies have to be in place. We have to always work with the government, always. The next is, of course, the social trends and social behavior, which means that we want high tech or any tech that we're going to do to be able to fit into the trends and into the behaviors of the people that are using it. Now, that means we have to change people's behavior. If you take a farmer that grows rice and is used to planting the rice by hand, and now you want this farmer to use a simple machine that plants, you know, by pushing it, you can plant it. You're going to have to change this farmer's behavior. And you have to understand that people don't like to change. They don't like to change, especially farmers and especially older farmers. So the challenge is always to work with people to make sure that the farmer likes what he sees or she sees, that they understand that pushing a little machine that plants your rice, you'll get the same yield, maybe even better. So these are very, very, very important steps that, from my experience, I have seen that sometimes don't work. 1 minute. I always have to drink a bit of coffee, you know. So social trends and behavior affect success. And the last one is economics. And what I have seen from the students that are coming from Vietnam to ICAT is that not enough students have any kind of economic background. There has to be a good economic background, somebody in the team that knows how to do the finances, that knows how to make the calculations. And these are agricultural calculations. I take an example from Dr. Hu from your slides about fertilizer. Okay, so if you're going to use a fertilizer, then you need someone to be able to say, if you put so and so many kilo, you will get so and so many, such and such a yield. And be able to do these graphs and be able to do these things to help the model. Your Prime Minister talked about models. Models, it comes from economics, price theory, and understanding the economic effect of adding 1 more kilo of fertilizer. How much will that add to the yield? And adding 1 more and 1 more and 1 more, and eventually you add more, but you don't get any more yield. So somebody has to be able to know to do these calculations and say, look, at 10 kilo per hectare, no need for any more. If you do 11, you're not going to get a higher yield. You're just going to spend money. So these 5 bubbles have to be in place in order for anything to work. But this is especially true in agriculture. Excuse me for 1 minute.
Excuse me, sir. Please, Dr. Ipolika please.
Yes.
You can open full slide.
You want me to open the slide? You mean
Open
like
full
this?
slide. Yeah. Yes.
Like
Thank you.
this?
Yeah.
Okay. One minute. Okay. Technological change. You want to take a farmer that is growing something in one way. Now you want the farmer to grow it in another way. My experience shows that without proper training, it will not work. My experience shows that it should be done step by step by step. If you take somebody and land them on the moon, do not expect things to work. So step by step, slowly. I will take the example of planting rice with an automated planter and not by hand. You teach the farmer how to grow the rice in a way that now you can plant it in a planter. There needs to be a bit of a change. You have to show the farmer how it works. And if you can get a machine and it's practice in another place maybe, then that's even better. Sometimes it's not possible and you have to start big. Let's say greenhouse. You can't build 1 meter greenhouse. You have to build a greenhouse. So the best thing is to find a place near the farms that you can build a small greenhouse and bring the farmers and train them. Again, this is what has been done in Kenya and Ethiopia that I worked over there. And then people will begin to feel comfortable and then they will find that, yes, okay, I would like to build a small greenhouse or a net house or a hook house. Let me just go back. Here are pictures of melons we used to grow with my grandson. This was done in a hook house, not in a greenhouse. You know what a hook house is? It's like an arch, yeah? Much cheaper than a greenhouse. And this is a strawberry that was also done in a hook house. The arch is like, it's about 10% of the price of the greenhouse. So this is an example of how you start. You start with something and then you can move on to something else. The last thing I want to talk about is your culture. Vietnamese culture, agricultural culture, farm culture is different than Israeli culture or American or Japanese. So one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to bring in technology that will change core values and core purpose of the people because it will fail. So what you can change are some of the way that we practice, for instance, pruning, okay? If you want to prune a fruit tree, that is changing the culture of the farmer because he didn't prune before. That's not difficult. No one's going to argue. But if you're going to now do some kind of technology that goes against the person's belief, let's say the person is vegetarian, so why would you suggest for this person to grow pigs when dealing with
What is the problem?
Tâm ơi, tắt mic đi.
So, Dr. Quinn, can you hear me? I see you're muted.
Yes, I hear you very clear.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Do you want me to talk about something else, or are we clear?
Excuse me, please wait some minutes. Maybe the internet connect have problem. Yes, wait me some.
You're waiting for people. Okay.
Wait me some minutes. Cô Quyền ơi.
Vân ơi, Vân
Dạ.
nói thầy
Này.
xe cái màn hình hình như là bị mất rồi.
Vâng ạ.
Please share the slide again.
Excuse me, Mr. Air. Mr. Air.
Yes, I
Hello?
hear.
Yeah. Can you please share the screen again?
Share the screen again.
Yes.
It says I cannot. It says host disabled screen sharing. So you have to undo me. Host disabled.
Yeah.
I cannot.
Yeah.
Sorry,
okay.
sir, we can share the full slide.
Everything's okay.
Yes, okay.
So I talked about core values and I talked about core purposes, and I made it clear that when you want to add technology into a farm, and make sure that you only change the way that they do the farming, but not things that are important. Like and I gave an example that if you're vegetarian, don't offer a farmer to stop growing rice and start growing pigs or cows or you know. So that's just an example. The last thing I want to talk about, because many people are very young and don't really understand what are their core values and their core purpose. How do you know? How do I know when I want to set up a new technology? What are the core values and core purpose of a person? And so I have this slide, which I hope I can move. Here it is. So if you're going to do technology and it's good and clean and safe and permitted and moral and beautiful, it means that it fits the value of the people, the person, the village, the community that you're dealing with. However, if it is evil, dirty, dangerous, forbidden, indecent, don't do it. Find other ways to help this community. I can give an example. For instance, many years ago, I had two workers from Thailand, and they used to clean their clothes every day. Every day. Why? Because in their culture, they respect the work and they want to come to work with clean clothes. We Israelis don't clean our clothes every day because we're going to get dirty again. So we only do it once a week. And I tried to convince my workers that they should not do that. It didn't work. In their mentality, they have to come to work with clean clothes. So I bought them a washing machine. And now they could clean their clothes every evening, and in the morning, they have clean clothes. So this is just an example. And I can go on and on, but honestly, I think you understand where I'm going. Okay, so I hope you didn't want me to talk about specifically drip irrigation and specifically a fertilizer pump, but more on the holistic side of doing technological change, which is what I specialize in. It's not about bringing a machine, a greenhouse, the dripper, or a pump to the farmer. It's about understanding what fits and what can work, and the economics and I go back to this slide. Where is it? Here it is. So this is critical for success. If there's any questions or anything, I'll be more than happy to answer. But really, I think I will unshare. Unshare. Yeah. Okay. You're muted.
The screen lost again, Dr.
No, that's it. It's fine. I closed it. So, Dr. Vu, what I had to say, I said. If there's any questions or anything like that, I'll be more than happy to answer. When the students come here to Israel, of course, I'm going to explain all about agribusiness and the different elements, the difference between growing and producing and adding value and the distribution and so on. But that is a big course that we teach that when the students come here. Okay.
Hello. Good afternoon, Dr. Yogo Polika. The first thing I want to thank Dr. Wing about some information on the general picture of agriculture in Vietnam. The second, I'm very happy when to hear about some interesting information from Dr. Yogo Polika about the modern agri manager. Understand 5 forces: economic, technology, science, government policies, and social trend and behavior. I think the economic, technology, and science is okay in Vietnam, but the government policy and social trend and behavior, we have some small problem. This is the reason why we have some problem about in the increase productivity and decrease prices. And I think about the behavior with the local farmer, they do not like to change. So we need the knowledge of for the local farmer. When we use a high-tech agriculture, we need the human resources who can use the machine. I think that the human resources are on the high-tech agriculture is necessary. How to change the behavior of a local farmer to throw the training. I want to hear your idea from you about this problem. Thank you so much.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, no farmer likes to change. Not only Vietnamese. Farmers are very conservative people. So it is very, very difficult always to have people change their behavior. And that is why I said that you can change their technical behavior. Start with their technical behavior, and then hopefully, if they accept this technology, then it's done. And the way to do that, again, from my experience, is through through small stations that are around the farms. We call it satellite stations, where you set up a small farm and farmers can come and all the time practice with this new technology, see that the yields, I always say, first of all, the yields will be the same or better. Don't promise things you can't promise. Don't say, oh, you use drip irrigation and you'll get a better yield. You'll get the same yield for sure, but hopefully also better. So it's also language. It's also how you talk, how you explain. I think I have a slide. I will share the screen. A minute. Yeah. I have a slide that explains what is behavior. Okay. Here it is. Excuse me. Okay. So behavior is influenced by your culture, by things that you believe in, and here comes the resources. So if I listened very carefully to the presentation Dr. Wu gave about resources, about infrastructure, about all these things. So the resources have to be in place, and this goes back to your question. This is something that the government has to help. Farmers don't build roads. Governments or local governments or somebody has to build the roads. So depending on the resources, that will also help behavior. Building a cold storage so that a fruit doesn't spoil is fantastic. But then taking it out of the cold storage, if you don't have a cold truck that takes it to the market, but you have to take it with an open truck, then all the energy you put into cold storage won't work. So these are the resources, the personality of the people. And this is difficult because different people are different. So you may have a lot of success with one farmer and no success with another farmer, and it's very frustrating. What we have always looked for are leading farmers. So it could be the chief of the village, or it could be somebody who has a lot of influence. And if that person adopts the technology, everyone else will also. It will take time, but that's something that we have to understand. The personal history. I was in Vietnam. I was up north in Hanoi. I was down in Ho Chi Minh. People drive differently on the roads, on the main street. So the personal history affects how the technology will be adopted. Habits. If you're used to doing something, and this, by the way, is the most difficult. If you're used to doing something in a certain way, and now you want someone to do it in a different way, you have to change their habits. So think about it. When you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth, you always brush it with the same hand. But now you're asking someone to brush it with the other hand. Now that's not something that's easy. Try it tomorrow morning. Try to brush your teeth with the other hand. Okay, that's what you're asking people to do. Yeah, hey, don't water your fields with a tunnel. Let's put drip irrigation. That's exactly like telling them brush your teeth always with the other hand. So that's habits. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay.
I can understand about the reason the behavior of the local farmer is not they do not like to change. Thank you so much.
Okay. You're welcome.
Yeah, I think that with the 7 program that I presented above, I think that with the split of constantly learning of Vietnamese people, yeah, and we always look forward to learning the technical advance of the advanced country in the world to apply to Vietnamese agricultural production. I hope we will get much more knowledge and put Vietnamese agriculture on the world map in the near future. Especially, we have many years of cooperation with Israel on and high-tech agriculture development. Especially the student exchange program. Yeah. And now, could you please show us some image of the detailed farm? Example, a chili farm. Via the image that you have.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Yeah, I would like to know more, some finger or some image of vegetable farm in Israel. Yeah, I give an example, chili or other vegetable that you have.
I understand. Okay, so all vegetables, well, that's not true. Most of the vegetables in Israel are done in greenhouses or net houses. Even bananas are grown in net houses. Okay, in order to cut down on insects and have to spray less. So almost all the vegetables and some of the fruits are done under net or under plastic. If we talk specifically about the area where I come from, which is the desert area, I'm sorry I don't have a map on my presentation, but we come from a very, very dry area. It's like the desert. It's like in the middle of Vietnam. Also, you have a desert with very little water. And so we have to be very, very water conservative to conserve, okay? Each farmer has only 70,000 metric cubes of water per year. That's the allocation. So we don't have 71, we have 70. And the trick is to use all the 70, but not over, because then you have to pay a fine. So the only way to really do that is to grow crops that can sustain this 70,000 metric cubes. So in our area, we grow peppers, not so much chili peppers, by the way, regular red or yellow peppers, green peppers, and dates. Now, if a farmer moves from pepper to dates, he cannot grow more than 30,000 square meters because he doesn't have enough water. Okay? If a farmer grows pepper, he can grow the whole 50,000 square meters, which is the second allocation we have. So each farmer has also an allocation of space, 50,000 square meters, and of water, 70,000 metric cubes. The way we do this, of course, is drip irrigation. When we plant when it's very hot in August, we put a lot of net, 90% shade. And then slowly, as the heat goes out and winter comes, we begin to take out these heavy shading nets. And then if it's in a greenhouse, it's plastic. If it's in a net house, it's just a regular insect-proof net. But that is how we challenge our water shortages. One more thing that is important is fertilizer. Fertilizer, with every drop of water, there's a little bit of fertilizer. And how much fertilizer is, of course, done by the economists and by research stations that always improve and say, hey, we found out that you can give a little bit less P or a little bit less K, and you still get the same yields. So there's always a research station with the researchers that are always looking to perfect what farmers are doing. And then we have also research for completely new crops that farmers have not done yet. So I hope I explained how we see our agricultural communities where we live.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Các em sinh viên ơi.
Thanks for sharing real experience from the Dr. Igor Polika.
Thank you.
Excuse me, students, do you have any question? For
Các em sinh viên có câu hỏi gì thì gửi về chỗ chị Như nhé. Gửi về chỗ chị Lan Anh và cô Như. Cô Như sẽ giúp các bạn dịch ra tiếng Anh để gửi đến thầy. Hoặc là cô hoặc là thầy Phát, các thầy cô có thể hỗ trợ các em. Các em mạnh dạn đặt những cái câu hỏi với thầy nhé. Nhất là bạn nào mà đang có cái dự định mà mình sẽ qua bên Israel ấy, và theo chương trình trao đổi sinh viên ấy, thì các bạn cứ mạnh dạn các bạn đặt câu hỏi nhé. Ví dụ làm như thế nào mà để một người nông dân có thể nuôi được 100 người khác, trong khi ở Việt Nam chúng ta thì một người nông dân chỉ có nuôi được từ 1 đến 2,5 người thôi. Ví dụ như thế thì các bạn cứ mạnh dạn các bạn hỏi nhé.
excuse me, students, you don't confident speak English, you can just questions on chatbot. I can have you translate English.
I have a question, if you allow me to ask.
Excuse me, Doctor, I want to ask you one question about the exchange programs between the Israel and Vietnam. If we send some the lecturer from the Văn Lang University to your organization, is it okay or not okay?
So let me just explain. I teach in ICAT, but I'm not the head of ICAT. So I think this is best for the head of ICAT and to talk with them. I think it's a fantastic idea. Wow. Because one of the things that we're always missing is the background. And that's a question I also wanted to ask. How many of the students come from agricultural backgrounds? Everybody, 50%. That's something that, you know, if you could answer me. But if a lecturer comes over here and works with us to perfect the program, for me as a lecturer, but that's something that administration has to do. For me, it would be fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
But can you answer me? How many students in the university that study agribusiness or agriculture come from agricultural backgrounds? Everybody or most or some?
Chắc cái câu này để tí nữa thầy Toản trình bày xong ấy, thầy Toản sẽ trả lời đấy Phát ơi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sinh viên nhé quá.
Quyền ơi, bây giờ mình move cái season 3 của anh Toản để anh Toản giới thiệu về cái chương trình internship.
Rồi.
Dạ. Ok.
Rồi sau đó mình thảo luận sau đi. Đấy, cô đang gửi bản nhắn cho em này.
Dạ.
Để lát nữa cuối buổi các bạn sẽ suy nghĩ thêm, các bạn đặt câu hỏi ha. Bây giờ mời tiếp theo.
Now we move session 3. Mr. Nguyễn Phú Toản, Director Oligo Company, to talk about the internship in Israel. It's either buying program between the government in Vietnam and Israel. Please welcome Mr. Nguyễn Phú Toản.
Alo, excuse me.
Dạ, alo. Nghe được chị.
Vâng ạ, kính thưa các cô là thứ nhất là về vấn đề trao đổi về công nghệ nông nghiệp của Israel ấy ạ. Thì nếu như sinh viên nào có câu hỏi gì về liên quan đến vấn đề chuyên ngành nông nghiệp công nghệ cao của ông Ia thì chúng ta sẽ tiếp tục hỏi tiếp. Và nếu như mà chúng ta không còn câu hỏi nữa thì là công ty cũng xin mời anh Nguyễn Phú Toản chuyển sang cái chương trình của chúng ta. Cái chương trình là chuyển giao công nghệ giữa sinh viên đưa đi học tại Canada ấy ạ. Thì nếu như mà sinh viên không còn quan tâm nữa thì em sẽ xin phép để cảm ơn ông ấy và cho ông ấy nghỉ ra khỏi cuộc họp, vì là anh Toản bên em sẽ trao đổi bằng tiếng Việt để cho sinh viên dễ hiểu anh ạ. Cô ạ, cô Quyền ạ.
Ok.
Dạ.
Có vậy, nếu vậy thì có câu hỏi nào nữa không? Như coi xem là có bạn sinh viên nào có đặt câu hỏi gì không? Collect lại xem nào. Cả Lan Anh nữa.
Đúng rồi ạ. Tất cả các bạn sinh viên mà có những câu hỏi liên quan đến cái về chuyên ngành ấy ạ, thì lên tận dụng cái cơ hội để các bạn ấy hỏi. Xong còn cái chương trình kia thì tôi sẽ trình bày sau ạ.
Dạ vâng ạ.
Cô ơi, ông ấy đang hỏi là sinh viên đã còn hỏi gì nữa không để ông ấy xin phép là rời cuộc họp.
Các bạn đang đặt câu hỏi bằng tiếng Việt.
Vâng, thế em sẽ bảo ông ấy đợi một chút. Okay.
Dạ. Sinh viên có một câu hỏi chị ơi. Students want the questions about the up in Israel. Israel can apply high-tech agriculture, can help prevent the climate change, and what do you do it?
Let me understand. You're asking about agriculture and climate change?
Yes. High-tech agriculture with climate change. Yeah. How to achieve between climate change and high-tech agriculture.
So the way we academically have to check climate change is through what we call footprints. What are your social footprints? What are your CO2 footprints? What are your water footprints? And this is the academic way to do it. Has it gone down to farm level? No. No farmer says, oh, I'm not going to grow pepper because the CO2 emission or the CO2 emission of sending my pepper to Europe is too high. So right now, climate change is an academic issue. And in order for it to go into the farms anywhere in the world, somehow the academics, the footprints, and the communities have to learn to work together. We are very, very far away. And I'm not talking about Israel. I'm talking about the United States, in England, Germany, okay? Very, very, very far away from using this methodology.
Thank you. Đương nhiên rồi. Câu hỏi vừa rồi là của bạn nào đấy hả? Cũng như có thể nói qua để cho bạn ấy hiểu. Rõ ràng là cái vấn đề biến đổi khí hậu cũng như là cái việc ứng dụng cái công nghệ trong nông nghiệp ấy, đương nhiên là nó có những cái mối quan hệ với nhau. Thì như lúc đầu thầy cũng có trình bày một slide đó, thì khi những cái nhân tố nó làm biến đổi khí hậu đó là những cái nhân tố gì? Trong cái quá trình chúng ta thực hiện sản xuất nông nghiệp ấy mà có ứng dụng công nghệ cao thì về cái mục tiêu là người ta đã giảm thiểu những cái ảnh hưởng của các nhân tố mà làm thay đổi biến đổi khí hậu, mà đặc biệt là những cái yếu tố gây nên những cái tác nhân gây nên hiệu ứng nhà kính, ví dụ như việc phát thải CO2. Thank you very much.
Alo, dạ cô Huyền ơi, dạ em xin phép bổ sung thêm số ý về cái phần nông nghiệp công nghệ cao của cô. Thì cái phần nông nghiệp công nghệ cao của mình á là tại sao là cái mối quan hệ giữa cái biến đổi khí hậu với lại cái nông nghiệp công nghệ cao như thế nào, thì em cũng xin nói một số ý như thế này, là cái phân tích giữa cái sự khác nhau giữa cái nông nghiệp truyền thống và cái nông nghiệp công nghệ cao. Thì cái nông nghiệp truyền thống của mình á, thì nó sẽ bị phụ thuộc vào thời tiết và khí hậu. Cái thứ hai nữa nó là sẽ tốn về cái phần về cái nhân lực, và như vậy á, thì cái nông nghiệp công nghệ cao nó sẽ khắc phục được những cái này, là mình có những cái ví dụ như mình ứng dụng công nghệ cao ở trong nông nghiệp để mà mình có thể là mình sẽ khắc phục về cái biến đổi khí hậu, những ảnh hưởng không có tốt của những cái biến đổi khí hậu đến với cái quá trình canh tác của mình. Và cái thứ hai nữa là về cái phần và nhân lực á, thì mình vẫn tiết kiệm được. Thì đó là cái mặt mà bậc của cái nông nghiệp công nghệ cao, nó có trợ cho cái biến đổi khí hậu của mình.
Dạ, cảm ơn thầy Phát.
Dạ, em cảm ơn cô. Dạ.
Cũng có nói về cái vấn đề mà khi cái quá trình chúng ta sử dụng phân bón hay là thuốc bảo vệ thực vật trong quá trình canh tác nông nghiệp ứng dụng công nghệ cao, để các bạn lưu ý là tất cả những cái nguyên liệu hoặc là những cái vật liệu để mà ứng dụng vào ấy, là hạn chế tối đa cái việc mà gây nên cái hiệu ứng nhà kính. Còn câu hỏi gì nữa không? Còn câu hỏi nào nữa không hả Như ơi?
Dạ hết rồi cô ơi. Dạ hết rồi cô ơi.
Tổng hợp hết tất cả rồi hả?
Dạ.
Không có câu hỏi.
Dạ không ạ, các bạn không có nhắn.
Cảm ơn thầy. Cảm ơn thầy để thầy nghỉ.
Mr. Air.
Doctor chắc nhiều khi Doctor chưa kịp ăn sáng á.
Excuse me, Mr. Air.
Yes. Hi.
Yeah. On behalf of Oriental Company and thank you so much for the speech. Thank you so much for the student and first and knowledge about.
Thank you, and I hope to see you guys here and you know, on the farms and in the classroom. So hopefully I see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Bye,
hope
bye.
see you. Như ơi, chắc mời anh Toàn.
Bên em tắt cái tiếng ở đây đi em.
Như ơi, em
Dạ,
tắt
em
tiếng
sorry
này
ạ,
Như.
em tắt tiếng ạ. Em kính mời anh Nguyễn Phú Toản, giám đốc của công ty Olico Company, có một chút xíu chia sẻ về cái chương trình Blind Program giữa Việt Nam and Israel ạ. Em kính mời anh ạ.
Cảm ơn. Em để share cái màn hình xem nào Nam. Nam. Mình share cái này ra. Đây. Không, đây share được.